Hello friends, I'm Mitch, Vice President here at North Carolina Family Policy Council, and I want to share a few words with you and give you a quick update for this week ending September the 12th. The top of this video, I want to share a simple message with you, and that is that Jesus Christ is our only hope. As we look back over the last couple of weeks, going back to August the 22nd, and Iryna Zarutska, a Ukrainian refugee who was murdered on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina, all the way to the events of this week, of course, September the 11th, this past Thursday, and what happened on September the 10th in Utah when Charlie Kirk was assassinated there at the university. A lot of attention has been paid over the last couple of weeks, over the last couple of months, even years, what it looks like to pay attention to mental health. And while that is extremely important, and I certainly don't want to dismiss mental and emotional health, I think it's important for us to understand that there's a deeper, more important underlying issue, and that is spiritual health. Friends, your spiritual health matters. You personally, individually. And yes, the spiritual health of our nation matters as well. And we must continue to foster an environment in our nation where spiritual health is maintained and taken care of. And that starts with you and me as we maintain the spiritual health that God has blessed us with. There is no room for violence in this moment, or any moment for that matter, when it comes to issues like this. And so we must be careful not to focus on the knee-jerk reactions that we may feel and that seem to overwhelm the culture at times. I'm reminded of the words that Jesus speaks to his disciples in Matthew chapter 14 in verse 27. You'll remember the story of the feeding of the 5,000, and shortly after that, his disciples get on a boat and they start to travel across the sea when, of course, a storm comes along. Well, Jesus had separated himself, and during the midst of the storm, he chooses to overwhelm them with, I think, one of the most significant miracles that he ever performed. Of course, we know that to be him walking on the water. In the midst of that storm, and when they see Jesus walking on the water, they're overwhelmed with emotion and fear, and Jesus stops them and says, "Take heart, it is I," he says to them, "do not be afraid." I think it's important for us in this moment to take heart. Know that Jesus is still on the throne, that he is sovereign, and that we need not be afraid. I think it's also important to focus on what happens in the rest of that story. Of course, one of those miracles that one of his disciples got to participate in. Peter looks at Jesus and says, "I want to walk on water too." And Jesus allows him that opportunity. But Peter, being overwhelmed by the storm and choosing to divert his focus away from the one that mattered, began to sink. Friends, I don't want to take that passage out of context, but I do believe that it bears some remarkable significance for this day and time. When we take our focus away from the one that really matters, we begin to sink. I believe the same is true of our state and our nation. When we begin to take our focus away from Jesus and our spiritual health, we begin to sink. So won't you join with me in focusing on the one that matters, Jesus Christ, because he is the author and the finisher, the beginning and the end of our faith. And when we take stock of our personal, state, and national spiritual health, we can make a difference here, not just in North Carolina, but in our nation. We're not done yet. God has great things in store for our country, for our state, and with you and your family. So won't you join us at NC Family as we seek to make our state and nation a state where God is honored, religious freedom flourishes, families thrive, and life is cherished. For updates on what's happening here in our organization and what you can be a part of, you can look at the links just below this video in the email or wherever you're watching the video. Thank you for all that you do to make North Carolina a state that is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Let's keep our focus where it belongs, on spiritual health and Jesus Christ. God bless you all.